And away we go, episode 1288 of the Galdi podcast. It is Wednesday, March 25th, 2026. It is the day of the 2026 Ohio State Pro Day, at which a number of members of Washington Commanders football operations will be in attendance. Per a good friend of this podcast, NFL and college football analyst Ryan Fowler, he on Tuesday afternoon in a post on X said that the following members of Commanders football ops will be in attendance at Ohio State's Pro Day on Wednesday. General Manager Adam Peters, Assistant General Manager Lance Newmark, Head Coach Dan Quinn, Offensive Coordinator David Blau, and Defensive Coordinator Durante Jones. A whole lot of representation for our team at Ohio State's Pro Day. And for good reason. The Pro Football Focus big board for the 2026 NFL Draft has Ohio State players constituting 4 of the top 10 and 5 of the top 28 players in the draft. Number 2, linebacker Arvell Reese. Number 4, linebacker Sonny Styles. Number 8, safety Caleb Downs. Number 10, receiver Carnell Tate. Number 28, interior defensive lineman Caden McDonald. A lot of intriguing Ohio State players are available in the 2026 NFL Draft, in which the Commanders have the number 7 overall pick. Hello and welcome to this Wednesday installment of the Galdi podcast. We on Tuesday had Notre Dame's Pro Day. Notre Dame running back Jeremiyah Love did not participate in his school's Pro Day. Why would he? It wasn't really much of a point in him participating in the Pro Day. His stock cannot go much higher. But the hype for Love potentially being drafted by the Commanders continues. Coming up later in the show, discussion of the latest, including ESPN fantasy football and NFL draft analyst Phil Yates having the Commanders at 7, taking Love in Yates's latest mock 2026 NFL draft, which came out on Tuesday morning. But next segment, analysis of an underrated positive regarding the Commanders' robust 2026 free agent class, the extent to which the team has signed guys to team-friendly contracts. The Commanders in free agency this offseason have gotten younger, more athletic, and we hope better, and have done so via a number of very appealing deals from a club perspective. Also on the show, I'll talk Washington Capitals.
A tough one to swallow tonight without question. As 15 seconds remain, back into the St. Louis zone. A great performance by Logan Thompson wasted as the puck comes back into the blue zone, and that's going to take care of it here tonight. The Blues get 2 in the third and pull it away. The final score tonight, St. Louis 3 and Washington nothing. Joel Hofer gets the shutout tonight.
Yes, he does. John Walton of the Washington Capitals radio network. A 3-0 loss at the St. Louis Blues on Tuesday night, snapping the Caps' 5-game point streak in a devastating blow to the Caps' fading postseason hopes. The Blues are one of the worst teams in the NHL, and yet the Caps got shut out at the Blues on Tuesday night. Before we get to feedback, some college basketball fallout from another disappointing season for Georgetown. Reports on Tuesday afternoon that one of the Hoyas' best players this season, KJ Lewis, is entering the NCAA transfer portal. He last April transferred to Georgetown from Arizona. By the way, VCU on Monday afternoon announced that head coach Phil Martelli Jr. has agreed on a contract extension through the 2031-2032 season. So good news there off Martelli in his first season as Rams head coach, leading the team to the second round of the NCAA tournament. And we in college football now have spring practices going on. Maryland began its spring practice season on Tuesday. Head coach Mike Locksley would appear to be on the hot seat off back-to-back bad seasons, but he during the offseason retained a number of key guys as opposed to them transferring. Among those players, 3 true freshmen from the 2025 season in quarterback Malik Washington and edge defenders Zahir Mathis and Sidney Stewart. This was Locksley during a press conference on Tuesday.
Excited to get the start of spring off for us. We had a busy off season, starting with building a roster. From the conclusion of the Michigan State game, all of our attention went to building a roster, which starts with retaining the roster. And we come out of it and feeling pretty good about we retained the majority of our core. We lost a handful of guys that played significant snaps in 2025, but I think a lot of credit can be given to the staff and the job they did, but also to our players who see the value in being here at Maryland. And by us being able to bring back, I think, 74% of our production on defense and 68% of our production on offense, and as well as what we're doing on special teams, excited about what this looks like because we got a group of guys that know the system, know how we do things, and the expectation is that with that much returning production going into year two, I know we'll see some of the fruits of that work of these young players.
Yeah, Maryland, per a team release, is returning 71% of the production from the program's 2025 roster, ranking number 2 in the FBS. Number 1 is Notre Dame. A big upcoming season for Mike Locksley. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. From Greg Hayes on X on Commanders unrestricted free agent linebacker Bobby Wagner, writes Greg, "Hey Al, what's the status of Bobby Wagner? Do you think he'll re-sign here?" Thank you for that, Greg. Bobby Wagner is still available. Now, sometimes a well-regarded unrestricted free agent veteran player will take his time before signing with a team. See edge defender Von Miller last offseason. He did not officially sign with the Commanders until last July 21st. But Wagner, when he signed with the Commanders as an unrestricted free agent 2 offseasons ago, signed in March. The team signed him in March 2024, and then the team re-signed him as a pending unrestricted free agent in March 2025. And we know that he wants to keep playing. NFL insider Jordan Schultz, he on February 24th in a post on X reported that Wagner, quote, fully intends to continue playing for a 15th NFL season in 2026, end quote. Bobby Wagner has become a liability in pass coverage, but he's still good against the run. He's effective as a blitzer, and his football IQ is sky high. I would not be against the Commanders re-signing him, but I would want them re-signing him with the understanding that he's no longer playing on 100% of the team's defensive snaps. Wagner, over his 2 seasons with the Commanders, has played in every one of the team's regular season and postseason games. The guy's an Iron Man. He, in the 2024 regular season, played on a team-high 98.98% of the team's defensive snaps. He, in the 2025 regular season, played on a team-high 99.39% of the team's defensive snaps. I don't know that he, at this point in his career, should be playing that much. It is a credit to him that he can play that much. This past season was his age 35 season. Another thing is this, and I brought this up on Tuesday's show, episode 1287, during our conversation with Commanders analyst Mark Bullock. It's not often these days that an NFL team plays 3 linebackers at once. The Commanders already have Leo Chenal, Frankie Louvu, and Jordan McGee. If the team truly likes McGee as much as the team has been saying, and the team re-signs Bobby Wagner, what exactly is the plan for playing all of these linebackers? Having more than 2 linebackers on the field at once is considered antiquated. Now, Chenal and Louvu can be used in multiple ways, and McGee is athletic, and Wagner can rush the passer, so these guys could be used in non-linebacker ways, but still, it's 2026. Exactly how many linebackers do you want playing at once? Defense in the modern NFL has become about pass rushers and defensive backs. Hey, if you're listening to this podcast via Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you can rate the podcast with a star rating. 5-star ratings are greatly appreciated. They help us out a lot. Thank you for doing them. The Washington Commanders on Tuesday morning announced the signing of Los Angeles Chargers unrestricted free agent offensive tackle Foster Sarell, a second consecutive March in which the Commanders have signed him as a Chargers unrestricted free agent. He was in training camp with the Commanders last year, but then was released in their cut down to 53. So the Commanders in free agency in this 2026 offseason have done a lot and could be doing more, but we now are through the first wave of free agency off the start of the new league year on March 11th. And I wanted to discuss something regarding the many unrestricted free agent acquisitions for the Commanders this offseason. And that's something is that the team overwhelmingly has these guys on team-friendly contracts. The top 2 websites for NFL salary cap and contract data, overthecap.com and spottrack.com, now include all that the Commanders have done this offseason up until this signing of Foster Sarell, as everything now is official. The Commanders' unrestricted free agent acquisitions this offseason: on offense, tight end Chig Okonkwo, receivers De'Ami Brown and Van Jefferson, running backs Rashad White and Jerome Ford, and yes, offensive tackle Foster Sarell. On defense, interior defensive lineman Tim Settle, linebacker Leo Chenal, Edge defenders Adafe Owe, K'Lavon Chason, and Charles Omenihu. Quarterback Amik Robertson, and safety Nick Cross. The only big money contract is that for Adafe Owe. Every other contract is a reasonable or even bargain contract. The Commanders, with what they've done in free agency so far this offseason, have gotten younger, have gotten more athletic, and hopefully have gotten better. It is the better part that matters the most. We unfortunately won't know if the team truly got better until the 2026 regular season, but the team appears to have gotten better, and it has done so via a bunch of smart contracts. General Manager Adam Peters, Assistant General Manager Lance Newmark, Senior Vice President of Football Operations Brandon Sosna, Vice President of Football Administration Rob Rogers. These people and whoever else were involved in putting together this free agent class for the Commanders did some good work. With, yes, the caveat of let's see how much better the team is come the regular season. We so far on the podcast have talked a lot about these players as players. Let's look at the contracts to which the Commanders have signed these guys. All of the contract data is per overthecap.com and spottrack.com. Now, the data on these sites is not always correct. Adam Peters actually said that at one point, but the data usually is correct, and these sites are the best that we have in terms of reliable, publicly available data for NFL contracts and salary cap information for NFL teams. On offense, tight end Chig Okonkwo, a 3-year, $27 million deal with $16.7 million fully guaranteed at signing. The most important number for an NFL contract is the money fully guaranteed at signing, because NFL contracts are rarely fully guaranteed. So Chig Okonkwo, a 3-year, $27 million deal, $16.7 million fully guaranteed at signing. That's not a nothing contract, but that is a very reasonable contract for a guy who's set to be the team's number one tight end. Receiver Dyami Brown, a 1-year, $1.75 million deal with $250,000 fully guaranteed at signing. That's it. Relative pennies for Dyami Brown, who in March 2025 signed a 1-year contract with the Jacksonville Jaguars as an unrestricted free agent. That contract per overthecap.com and spottrack.com was a 1-year, $10 million deal. So Brown went from a 1-year, $10 million deal with the Jags to a 1-year, $1.75 million deal with the Commanders. He had a bad 2025 season. He, for the Jags, was a bust, but still, the guy has talent. The Commanders having him on such a cheap deal, great for our team. Receiver Van Jefferson, a 1-year, $1.4025 million deal with $527,500 fully guaranteed at signing. He actually got a better deal than Dyami Brown got, but again, a very team-friendly deal. Look, the Brown and Jefferson deals are so low that there's no guarantee that either guy makes the team in terms of the initial 53-man roster for the 2026 season. And then two other bargain contracts, a running back Rachaad White, a 1-year, $2 million deal with $1.715 million fully guaranteed at signing, and running back Jerome Ford, a 1-year, $1.4025 million deal with $437,500 fully guaranteed at signing. Total nothing contracts that, by the way, in no way preclude the Commanders from taking Notre Dame running back Jeremiyah Love with their number 7 overall pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. On defense, edge defender Adafe Owe, big money contract for sure. A 4-year, $96 million deal with $50.6 million fully guaranteed at signing. But the other two edge defender contracts, K'Lavon Chason, a 1-year, $11 million deal with $10.3 million fully guaranteed at signing. Charles Omenihu, a 1-year, $4 million deal with $3.3 million fully guaranteed at signing. Those contracts, very team-friendly. Interior defensive lineman Tim Settle, a 3-year deal with $7.3 million fully guaranteed at signing. Don't get thrown off by Settle having signed a 3-year contract. It has just $7.3 million fully guaranteed at signing. Team-friendly deal. A guy about whom I'm quite excited, linebacker Leo Chanel, a 3-year, $24.75 million deal with $12.4 million fully guaranteed at signing. Decent money, but by no means some mega money contract. Cornerback Amik Robertson, a 2-year, $15.5 $14.02 million deal with $7.35 million fully guaranteed at signing. This contract actually strikes me as a potential overpay given that he had a rough 2025 season, but the Commanders seem to really like him. And safety Nick Cross, a 2-year, $13 million deal with $6.05 million fully guaranteed at signing. Odd that Robertson got a better contract than Cross got, because I think that there's more to like with Cross than there is with Robertson, but cornerbacks are more valuable than safeties. But bottom line, the Commanders did a good job when it came to the contracts for these free agent acquisitions, and this team continues with the team's re-signings this offseason. I won't go through each of those, but take, for example, left guard Chris Paul. His market as an unrestricted free agent pretty clearly ended up being disappointing. The Commanders re-signed him to a mere 1-year, $3 million deal with $2.475 million fully guaranteed at signing. Man, did the media, did my people get the market for Chris Paul wrong? All of this talk about him likely being priced out of the Commanders re-signing him. Remember all of that talk? And yet they ended up re-signing him to a mere 1-year, $3 million deal with $2.475 million fully guaranteed at signing. Relative pennies. Now, there is no trophy for signing players to team-friendly contracts. What ultimately most matters is whether the Commanders got better. Also, I want to make clear that I'm not against paying big money for free agents when appropriate. I have no problem with the contract that the Commanders gave to Dafe Owe, and I would have had no problem with the Commanders paying what it took to get Baltimore Ravens unrestricted free agent center Tyler Linderbaum. The Commanders on March 9th, what was day one of the legal tampering period this offseason, reportedly pursued Linderbaum, but he agreed on a mega money contract with the Las Vegas Raiders. If you believe that Linderbaum is an elite center, then pay what it takes to get him. The Raiders, per overthecap.com and spottrack.com, signed him to a 3-year, $81 million contract with $60 million fully guaranteed at signing. That is monster money for a center. That's market resetting money for a center. But if he's elite, so what? The salary cap is soaring. Today's overpay is tomorrow's bargain. If Linderbaum continues to play at a high level, that contract will only look better and better as the cap goes higher and higher. So I would have had no problem with the Commanders paying what it took to get Linderbaum, and I'm a little disappointed that they did not get Linderbaum. But overall, I like what our team has done in free agency so far this offseason, and what makes what the team has done in free agency so far this offseason look even better is the nature of the contracts, a number of team-friendly deals. The Nace Law Group, accident and injury lawyers, it will fight for you and win for you. Lead attorney Chris Nace is a big Commanders fan and big supporter of this podcast, and his firm wins trials. So just recently, an $8 million jury verdict in Baltimore City Circuit Court. If you have a case, contact the Nace Law Group. Call 202-902-7611 or visit Washington, D.C., injurylawyers.com and tell the Nace Law Group that Al Galdi sent you. The Nace Law Group is tremendous. It is a Washington, D.C.-based family law firm that handles medical malpractice, personal injury, birth injury, legal malpractice, and consumer protection cases, offering aggressive advocacy for victims in Washington, D.C. and West Virginia. If you feel that you've been wronged, if you think that you've been wronged but aren't sure, contact the Nace Law Group and schedule a no-obligation appointment. Call 202-902-7611 or visit Washington, D.C., injurylawyers.com and tell the Nace Law Group that Al Galdi sent you. On Tuesday's show, episode 1287, talked about ESPN NFL insider Adam Schefter on the Pat McAfee show on Monday afternoon, saying that the Washington Commanders, with their number 7 overall pick in the 2026 NFL draft, make sense as the team that will take Notre Dame running back Jeremiyah Love in the draft. And I noted that Schefter and how he said what he said came across as perhaps knowing that the Commanders really like and want Jeremiyah Love. After all, Schefter's Commanders intel usually is good. Well, Schefter on Tuesday morning on the Team 980 said that he has not talked to the Commanders about Love, and that what Schefter said on the Pat McAfee show was an opinion. Schefter said all of this on the Kevin Sheehan show. Okay, fine. Also on Tuesday was Notre Dame's Pro Day, in which Jeremiyah Love did not participate. Okay, fine. But the hype for the Commanders possibly taking Jeremiyah Love at 7 continues. Now, my stance is as follows. I am not a fan of the Commanders taking a running back with a top 10 pick, but I never say never. And if they truly believe that this guy is an ultra special, well-rounded, all-pro caliber back, think a durable Christian McCaffrey, then taking Love with a top 10 pick can be justified. Now, of course, the Commanders better be right, because if the Commanders stick and pick at 7, they need to hit with this pick. Cannot emphasize that enough. The deal with the lessening in value of the running back position isn't that the position doesn't matter. The position matters a lot. The deal is that we have seen time and time again that running back success in the NFL is as much about offensive scheme and offensive line as the success is about the back himself. And running backs age horribly, and the NFL is a passing league, not a running league. So my standard for justifying taking a running back with a top 10 pick is high, but the standard is not unreachable. And what I'm trying to figure out is, does Jeremiyah Love reach the standard? Is he worthy of our team's number 7 overall pick in the 2026 NFL Draft? ESPN fantasy football and NFL draft analyst Phil Yates, he on Tuesday morning came out with his latest mock 2026 NFL Draft, and he, in the mock, had the Commanders with their number 7 overall pick taking Jeremiyah Love. Quote, I'd argue the floor of Love would be at number 7, as this would be a home run move for the Commanders with their only pick of the first 2 rounds. While the team signed veterans Rashad White and Jerome Ford in free agency, make no mistake that the running back room has more than enough room for Love. 7th-round pick Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt is Washington's only returning running back from 2025 when he recorded 805 rushing yards, team high, and just 68 receiving yards. Love is the most dynamic offensive player in this class, running a 4.36-second 40-yard dash at the combine and averaging 10.4 yards per catch in 2025. He would immediately alleviate pressure on quarterback Jaden Daniels, also adding value as a pass protector, end quote. Here were Phil Yates and ESPN NFL draft analyst Mel Kiper Jr. on ESPN's First Draft podcast in an installment that came out on Tuesday morning.
Maybe you see a guy like Jeremiyah Love slide a little bit, but not too much more, as with my 7th overall pick in the 2-round mock draft, the Washington Commanders do select Jeremiyah Love, running back from Notre Dame. I think this is the floor for Love, Mel. I know this offseason the Commanders have been busy in the running back room. They signed Rashad White away from Tampa Bay. They brought back Jeremy McNichols. There's been some activity in that running back room, but nothing has taken place that makes me feel like they have a long-term solution in that backfield, and certainly nobody that is anywhere close to as dynamic as Jeremiyah Love. I understand there are some who would still like to see Washington attack the pass rush further. Well, worth noting, they did sign Odafe Oweh this offseason for $100 million. K'Lavon Chason got a 1-year contract. They've done some work up front in that front 7 to make you feel like they can attack best player available and also what I would consider a need. So Jeremiyah Love, Mel, paired with Jaden Daniels, that's about as exciting as you can find for a young quarterback and a young running back in the NFL.
Yeah, Adam Peters with Christian McCaffrey. You think about the Washington Commanders, a running back of this quality they don't have. They have some decent running backs, but they don't have an elite back. An elite back is what Jeremiyah Love is, and also an outstanding receiver. So for Jaden Daniels, he said, put him with Cam Ward at 4, right? How about putting him with Jaden Daniels, looking to bounce back after a spectacular rookie year, then an injury-plagued sophomore campaign. Now all of a sudden you get a guy who is the dynamic fear factor player next to a fear factor quarterback in Jaden Daniels. Imagine those two together. I just don't know if Love will be there. And to the point about, you mentioned need, like for Arizona, I just don't believe, Field, you can just lock into need in the first round. Need can't dictate the top 10, because for me, it's about the best players. This draft is more than 1 round. It's 7 rounds plus undrafted free agents. There used to be 17 rounds and it went to 12 rounds. So those undrafted guys have a lot of ability. So to me, if you look at Washington, where could they go here? Yes, they have to wait and see who's there. I would love to see a Caleb Downs here if I'm the Washington Commanders, a Sonny Styles here if I'm the Washington Commanders. But Jeremiyah Love, if he's there, people say, well, that's a luxury pick. No, it's not. It's not a luxury pick. You put him next to Jaden, you got something. I'm just not sure, if he's there at this point in the draft.
Yeah, I think this is the floor to reiterate that. And Mel, I just think that with Jeremiyah Love, whichever team takes him in the top 10, because I think you and I both agree it will be in the top 10, my hope is that it's a team that feels as though they are going to play in the playoffs this upcoming season. And while Washington has a lot of work to do, and 2025 was a dismal season, in 2024 they were playing in the NFC Championship game. That's probably a franchise that feels like, with some reshaping of the roster, a healthy Jaden Daniels, and a great draft, they can be at least competitive in the NFC East, which feels more wide open now compared to where it was in the middle of last season. So maybe Washington says, this is a guy that can help us win big this upcoming season.
Well, Mel Kiper is 100% right about what he said about best player available mattering more than need regarding the top 10 in an NFL draft. Best player available, to me, factors in positional value. And so it takes a lot for a running back to be the best player available at any point in the top 10 in an NFL draft. But that being the case is not impossible. Now, who knows if Jeremiyah Love even makes it to 7? You can make a strong argument for him being taken by the Arizona Cardinals at 3. You can make a strong argument for him being taken by the Tennessee Titans at 4. You could make a strong argument for him being taken by the New York Giants at 5. He's not being taken by the Las Vegas Raiders at 1. He's very likely not being taken by the New York Jets at 2. It would seem unlikely that he'd be taken by the Cleveland Browns at 6. But of course, who knows? But if he makes it to 7, should the Commanders take him? I'm open to it, but I need to be convinced of it, and I'm not convinced yet, especially with all of the other intriguing players in this draft. I mean, just think about the Commanders at 7 this way. Assuming that the Las Vegas Raiders, with the number 1 overall pick, take Indiana University quarterback Fernando Mendoza. The Commanders, if they stick and pick at 7, are guaranteed to be able to choose from at least 3 of the following guys: Notre Dame running back Jeremiyah Love, Ohio State receiver Carnell Tate, Ohio State safety Caleb Downs, Ohio State linebackers Arvell Reese and Sonny Styles, University of Miami edge defender Reuben Bain Jr., Texas Tech edge defender David Bailey, and LSU cornerback Mansour Delane. 8 exciting, enticing, intriguing players right there. At least 3 of them will be available at 7, assuming that the Raiders take Mendoza at 1. Are you sure that taking Jeremiyah Love over any other 2 remaining players out of those 8 at 7 is the right way to go? I'm not, even though there is so much to like about Love. Jeremiyah Love, for the 2025 season per Pro Football Focus, had an overall grade of 93.7, best among all qualified FBS running backs. Also, he, for the 2025 season per PFF, had 726 breakaway rushing yards, best among all FBS running backs. A dynamic RB1 with our QB1, Jaden Daniels, would be awesome. I mean, there's no doubt about that. Here was Phil Yates on ESPN's Get Up on Wednesday morning. You'll hear a question from host Mike Greenberg, then Yates' response, then an exchange between Mike Greenberg and Mel Kiper, and then an exchange between Greenberg and ESPN NFL analyst and former Redskins quarterback Tim Hasselbeck. Here you go.
Running back Jeremiyah Love and Washington, a dream fit. Field Yates.
Yeah, I believe so, Greeny. This team obviously has the 7th overall pick for a reason, but they were playing in the NFC Championship game 2 years ago. And I think it's important, though, their GM, Adam Peters, has basically fixed his pass rush this offseason. Odafe Owe and Caleb Chason allows him to be more nimble at pick 7. Jeremiyah Love, the number 2 player on my board, but he is a game changer no matter what offense he lands in.
Well, Shefty was on McAfee yesterday, and he agrees with you. He fueled up the hype train of Jeremiyah Love to Washington. Listen.
To me, he's a top 10 pick. I don't see him going to Tennessee. I don't see him going to the Giants at number 5, although that would be an interesting spot. And I think he'd have a lot of support there. To me, a place that makes sense today, a month out, would be the Washington Commanders.
So, Mel, let me ask it to you this way. You and I will be sitting next to each other in Pittsburgh on that night. Do you believe Jeremiyah Love is still on the board when the Commanders pick at 7?
Shefty came on a couple weeks ago when I had my mock and said Tennessee's not going to take him at 4 from what he's hearing. So if you go to Washington at 7, what does he bring with Jaden Daniels, another fear factor player? He had in 13 games around 36 or more yards over the last 2 years. He had a catch of 27 or more yards this past season. He had 35 rushing touchdowns the last 2 years. 55 receptions the last 2 years. And guess what? Over the last 3 years, 0 fumbles for Jeremiyah Love. You put him in that backfield, he can put him out slot, you can put him wide with his pass-catching ability. Yes, he would be a tremendous fit for the Washington Commanders and really help out Jaden Daniels get back to where he was as a rookie.
Hasselbeck, what do you think?
In terms of, is he, a fit there? Yeah, I think he is. And, in terms of running backs going super high, look, Kenneth Walker was just a Super Bowl MVP, and in Seattle is like, nah, you know what, we'll be okay without him. I do think you can find running backs with this caveat. When there's an elite guy, so whether it's a LaDainian Tomlinson, whether it's, a guy like Saquon or Bijan Robinson, then it does make sense because running back is the easiest position to come in and have a massive impact as a rookie. And then you just think about the volume of touches and the impact on your offense a rookie can have. Look, it's not out of the realm to have a rookie running back touch the football over 20 times per game. And so if you feel like you have a player that can do that, Love in this case, then look, I think it makes sense for a team like Tennessee. And I do think, Greeny, to your original question, is he still there at 7? I think there will be people that look at him and say, no, I think we need to get in front of the Commanders, and I could see him going prior to 7.
Yeah, what Tim Hasselbeck said right there is what I'm saying. Generally speaking, no, you don't take a running back with a top 10 pick in an NFL draft. But if the back is truly special, then there's a conversation. Is Jeremiyah Love truly special? That's the question. Well, the Washington Capitals are down to having just 10 games left in the NHL's 2025-2026 regular season, and what happened on Tuesday night may have essentially sealed the Caps' fate in terms of not making the Stanley Cup playoffs this season. A 3-0 loss at the St. Louis Blues on Tuesday night, what was the Caps' first shutout loss since December 16th. The Caps in this regular season now are 35-28-9, good for 79 points. The Caps are 6 points behind the Ottawa Senators for the Eastern Conference's second of 2 wildcard spots. So both the Senators and New York Islanders have 85 points, but the Senators have played 1 fewer game than the Islanders have played. The Caps are 7 points behind the Pittsburgh Penguins for third place in the Metropolitan Division as the top 3 teams in each division make the postseason. But the Blues, they for this regular season have the 4th fewest points in the Western Conference, 69, and yet our Caps, who are fighting for their postseason lives, got shut out at the Blues on Tuesday night. Very disappointing. Blues goaltender Joel Hofer pitched the shutout. He stopped all 21 of the shots on goal that he faced. The Caps lost the puck possession battle. They had 21 shots on goal to the Blues' 27, and per natural stat trick had 36 5-on-5 shot attempts to the Blues' 47, including 4 5-on-5 high-danger shot attempts to the Blues' 12. The Caps went 0 for 2 on the power play. Caps top-line left wing Alex Ovechkin had no points and just 3 total shot attempts, including 2 shots on goal. Caps second-line center Pierre-Luc Dubois, he received a 5-minute match penalty, 8:25 into the third period for intent to injure on Blues center Robert Thomas. Just a bad night for the Caps. A bright spot was the Caps starting goaltender, their number 1 goaltender, Logan Thompson.
Now the Caps got to pick him up and try to get some goals here, try to get some opportunities.
Here comes Snuggerud to the puck all alone, and now the chance, a rebound back to Thomas as a breakdown coming off the boards opened up the daylight in front. A shot here from the side of the net. Thompson falling down and coming back in front. Broberg with a chance, and a save made by Thompson again. The puck back in behind the net in a scrum after the Blues turned in some high danger coming off the right wing side, and several chances in quick succession in front of Logan Thompson. The Blues aren't done yet. Here's Holloway with a shot that's tipped aside.
John Walton and Ken Sabrin on the Washington Capitals radio network. Logan Thompson in this 3-0 loss at the Blues on Tuesday night stopped 24 of the 26 shots on goal that he faced, continuing his terrific season. Thompson for this regular season, 50 games, all starts. Goals against average of 2.37, save percentage of .915. I was looking at the best seasons by Caps goaltenders. Logan Thompson right now is tracking toward having the best goals against average by a qualified Caps goaltender in a regular season in which the Caps did not make the Stanley Cup playoffs ever. A real shame this Caps season, if they don't make the postseason, is that they wasted this great season by Thompson. The record for best goals against average by a qualified Caps goaltender in a regular season is Braden Holtby's 2.07 for the 2016-2017 regular season. Thompson's not breaking that record, but he is having a tremendous season. The Caps in this 3-0 loss at the Blues on Tuesday night went 3 for 3 on the penalty kill. When it came to those who did not play for the Caps in this game, winger Ethan Frank did not play due to a lower body injury that he suffered in the Caps 3-2 overtime loss to the Colorado Avalanche at Capital One Arena this past Sunday afternoon. The Caps' healthy scratches were 3 defensemen, Timothy Liljegren, Declan Chisholm, and Dylan McElrath. The Caps on March 6th, what was 2026 NHL trade deadline day, announced having traded a 4th-round pick in the 2026 NHL draft to the San Jose Sharks for Liljegren, but he now has been a healthy scratch for each of the Caps' last 4 games, and the Caps' other acquisition in the lead-up to the trade deadline, forward David Kampf. He still has not played at all for the Caps. He has not played in any of the team's 9 games since it on March 6th announced having traded a 6th-round pick in the 2026 NHL draft to the Vancouver Canucks for him. Kampf has not been playing off dealing with a visa issue and the birth of a child. Look, I hope everything's okay with David Kampf, but man, these 2 trade acquisitions by the Caps continue to look so bad, although we are at least getting some scheduled fun on X regarding the David Kampf situation. I'll read to you a sampling of posts on X on Tuesday night. Caps only lost because David Kampf wasn't playing. David Neverborn Kampf. David Kampf is not a real person. There you go. As for the nature of this 3-0 loss at the Blues on Tuesday night, during Caps head coach Spencer Carberry's postgame session with reporters late night on Tuesday night, had this back and forth between Caps insider Mike Vogel of WashingtonCaps.com and Carberry.
Some level of frustration at not being able to exceed 2 goals in a game, and you're right there, one puck away for most of this game here tonight.
Yeah, I thought tonight was our puck play was not good. For majority of the night, we just could not execute. Anytime there was a glimmer of hope where you saw, whether it was an odd man rush in the first period or an O-zone sequence where some guys are open, and it's we just couldn't connect on those plays whatsoever tonight. So that's where it leaves you. Our expected goals are probably around, I think they're like 1.1, which isn't good enough. We just have to do a better job with the puck. We got to do a better job creating opportunities, creating high danger, creating secondary looks, getting to the net, attacking the net, getting shots through, connecting on passes. We just have to do a better job with that.
How do you do those things, especially forecheck-wise, when their goalie's doing such a good job with his touches and his handles back there tonight?
Yeah, it was a big part of our pre-scout is to keep the puck away. We know he plays it as good as anybody. Both these guys play it. Probably the 2 best puck handlers in the National Hockey League from a goaltender's perspective. So I thought we did an okay job of it, and when he did touch it, I thought we forechecked it decently well. You're never like, it's incredible. Some of the pucks that he stops, because we made a point to keep him up on the glass, and he'll put his stick lateral and pick him out of midair on a few of them. But I thought we did an okay job. I think he's going to get to a few, but I thought we were okay there. We just, when we got pucks back, we just didn't do nearly enough with those possessions.
All right, well, we are approaching rarefied air. If the Caps don't make the playoffs this season, this will mark just the 9th time over the last 43 seasons that the Caps don't make the postseason. Next up for the Caps at the Utah Mammoth, Thursday night at 9. And that'll do it for you and me for now. Keep the feedback coming. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. Thursday show, episode 1289. We'll provide you with more on the Washington Commanders. Also on Thursday's show, I'll talk Washington Wizards. They're at the Utah Jazz Wednesday night at 9. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, and I'll talk to you on Thursday.
Jeremiyah Love, if he's there, people say, well, that's a luxury pick. No, it's not. It's not a luxury pick. You put him next to Jaden, you got something.